Thanksgiving is coming up, and instead of doing something about turkey, I decided this time I would do something about goose. So here we have a Goose Tracks quilt block, and this one's kind of fun and easy to put together. I've got all my pieces cut out, so join me at the sewing machine. This is Penny Hallgren from QuiltBlockLibrary.com and QuiltBlockLibrary.tv. Thanks for joining me. This is a block that can be divided into sections, and each one of these corner sections is the same. So instead of laying them all out, what I've done is put the pieces all in one stack. So the first thing I'm going to do is sew this little patch together because that's going to make a square, and then I'll sew these together. So what I'll do is start by sewing these two, and then I'll sew all of these patches together, and then we'll work on the next step. Now I've got the square and the triangle sewn together, and my next step is to sew these two little sets of triangles together so that they'll fit in the bottom part of that square. Now I'm going to sew these together, and then I'll be ready to complete this little square. Now I have all of this sewn together. I can just fold this down and add these, and then we'll have a little unit in the center. Now I've got these weird shaped units, but what I need to do is attach these triangles onto the side. So my next step will be to attach those. Now I'm ready to add this other triangle, and that'll complete this little unit. So I'm just going to add that onto the other side. To sew this part, and these triangles need to be attached. So I'm just going to take these, face them right sides together, and sew down the center. Now I'll just open these up and sew these little units on. And these are going to be a little bit tricky matching up the tips, but just 1/4 inch, and there should be a little 1/4 inch tip that hangs out that side, and then stitch along the side. Now we'll just add this other shape onto the other side, and then that center section will be finished. Now we've got the sections sewn together, and so we can just start sewing them together to make one big patch. So the first thing I'm going to do is take this pieced triangle and put it right sides together into the center section, and then just stitch down the center. Now I'm ready to add the bottom triangle on, and that's pretty straightforward. Then we'll have that whole square done. Now that each one of these corner patches are done, we can lay the whole quilt block out, and I'll just start sewing this in sections. So I'm going to sew these patches together, and I'll chain sew them and leave them attached. And the next step is to attach these patches on the other side to this group that we've already sewn together. Just 2 more seams and this quilt block is finished. So we'll just sew the top section to the center, and then once that's done, I'll sew the bottom to the center. Our Goose Tracks quilt block is all done and ready for a quilt. This will make an interesting little Thanksgiving quilt instead of some turkey in the straw, something like that. Hope you enjoyed making this quilt. Thanks for joining me. This is Penny Hallgren from QuiltBlockLibrary.com and QuiltBlockLibrary.tv. If you're not already over there, head on over to QuiltBlockLibrary.com and get your free download of this pattern. Thanks again, and peaceful piecing.